Yeah, we're going to be moving on to Coda for map number 2 here in the World Championship Series. It's, man, great start to the match.
Yeah.
A little bit of a cheeky aggression. Definitely wasn't expecting a one base versus one base play myself, Roddy.
I mean, sOs just seems to have very weird games on Bridgehead very often. Last time I casted him, he had a crazy game where he proxied into a proxy Stargate, also on one base. And that one didn't end as well as the previous game did, though.
I'm very curious to see what he decides to bust out this game, or if Rogue is going to go for another crazy build. We are just about loaded in. I hope you guys are as excited as we are here as we get closer and closer to finding out who will face off against Life in the grand finals here. You know, the last part of the Swarm tournament we're going to see for StarCraft 2. We're loaded into Coda, and in the top left position, we have the blue Zerg player representing Jin-Air Green Wings. Give it up for Rogue!
And of course, in the right bottom side of Coda, we're looking at the main base of our red Protoss play. He's one of the most solid, but also craziest Protosses out there. Give it up for sOs.
And of course, one of the big thanks, all of you guys coming out here. This arena is packed, Kev. So many StarCraft fans. It's been a great weekend. So much news. We got to go over all the awesome Legacy of the Void feels this morning. It's a good time to be in StarCraft.
Been a great weekend, and it's been a great year. I think this entire WCS year has been very, very entertaining. We've had so many great finals, and hopefully we'll have one more later today. But for now, of course, all eyes on the second semifinals here. Rogue again sending out a drone scout very early on. Potentially
He's not going to do anything crazy, Kev. No, surely not.
I mean, if you don't see a gateway yet, I wouldn't mind if he tries to drop the hatchery over here. And sOs seems to be quite worried about it as well. This is very annoying to deal with as a Protoss. That's why he's just pulling 2 probes immediately.
Perhaps he recognized the Nexus first in the last game and says, I'd like to punish that this game if I can.
Yep. And if you only have 1 probe there and your probe is not in the right spot and he morphs in that hatchery, you just hate life as a Protoss, because then you're like, man, I gotta start a forge somewhere, I gotta start my gateway, my Nexus is going to be incredibly late, but sOs made sure that he didn't have to deal with that.
And Rogue also started his hatchery at a very appropriate time back at his own base, so he wasn't gonna try to force that, you know. I guess trying to see what is going to be up at the base. You know, important to notice whether or not Rogue will be going for a gas follow-up if he wants to do a big speedling play. You know, it's not uncommon that you can fake your opponent out and be like, oh yeah, I'm going fast 3 after 4 pool, and you think, oh, they're going economy. No, then they just use that 3rd hatchery for a little bit of extra larva, push out a lot of lings, and catch you off guard.
You know what's interesting as well? The guys at the couch mentioned it. So far, sOs has only played Protoss versus Protoss in this tournament. Rogue on the other end, he has played every single matchup already. He played a ZVT in the round of 16, played a ZVZ in the round of 8, and now he's here going up against the Protoss. Obviously, quite difficult for him to prepare for every single matchup. You know, when you're playing at this big stage, you know that your opponents are going to be very well prepared, and it's very hard to be, you know, evenly as good in all 3 matchups. That pretty much almost never happens. You know, every player has a matchup they prefer and kind of dislike.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, cool to note that Life is certainly going to be watching this match very closely, particularly if sOs is able to advance. He'll have, you know, a good couple of games to look at. Be like, okay, well, this is sort of the opening you like. Maybe you're playing a little bit greedy this tournament. sOs may not feel comfortable doing these strategies were he to advance.
Yeah, it would be such a different series as well. Like in the last semifinals we saw Life being the crazy player out of the 2. Classic trying to go for the normal games, other than, I guess, the Dark Shrine on Iron Fortress that didn't really work out. But other than that, he's a very passive, solid Protoss, likes to just defend, kind of old school Reign. You know, in this series on the other end, sOs is the type of Protoss that just makes it so hard for the Zerg players to figure out what they are playing against. One game he's going to go 1 gate Stargate, sometimes 1 gate Twilight, sometimes, you know, it's just quick into 3 bases. There is no such thing as, you know, I know what sOs is going to do over here, because he just switches it up all the time, and it makes it very difficult for a Zerg to be ready for everything.
Yeah, interesting that you know, Sentry gets pushed back, has to drop that force field. There's a forge on the way inside sOs's main, but Kev, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it does it hurt him to lose that force field that early on? Because I feel like a hallucinated Phoenix Scout would be pretty useful a minute or two now.
Yeah, it's not nice, but I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world. 2 gateways being warped in, right out of vision of this Overlord. It seemed like Rogue kind of picked up on it, but I don't think he saw it there. I think the Overlord died right before he could catch a glimpse of those 2 gateways. Yes, he didn't see it. So it's just going to be 3 gate and +1 so far. sOs can take this in so many different routes. He can go for a massive 2-base attack, but that's not what I'm expecting. I kind of expect him to just go up to 3 bases very quickly. He knows that Rogue is focusing a lot on his economy on his side of the map, even though he is bringing out a probe, Nate.
Well, if he sets himself up here,
okay,
taking the forward third, is this normal on this map? Usually I see Protoss go for the bottom one next to the natural.
It's definitely not normal, but it's very interesting. I mean, if he stabilizes it, that's going to be very nice, because it's going to be very hard for Rogue to swing around. And if he ever wants to attack this base, he's going to have to go up this ramp, the ramp that the Zergling is walking up right now. This one link gets very close.
He's going to spot that Nexus. Very important information here for Rogue. Knowing that this base is so forward out, it's also easier for him to attack were he in a position to do so. But he doesn't have Zergling speed. He doesn't have a Roach Horn yet, doesn't have his lair yet. He has, as you said, Kev, focused so much on economy. I don't know that there's a real proper way for him to punish this base.
He even went up to layer before Zergling speed, so there is a chance he can drop a very early Hydralisk then, and you know, it's going to be even shorter for the Hydralisk to make their way across the map and actually start fighting this Protoss army. Of course, force fields will be very scary and intimidating, but Hydras in general do very well against gateway units, unless, you know, the force fields are godlike and only a couple of Hydras at a time are able to shoot.
Yeah, we have these sentries being a little bit, you know, bullyish out on the map, looking for a few units to pick off here, clearing out those towers. Rogue sitting at 61 drones now as sOs starts up a few more gateways. His +1 attack is almost done. He has Blink starting up. So what are the odds that we see this turn into one of those big 2-base or 3-base Blink Stalker pushes with a lot of sentries?
I definitely think that's where sOs wants to go, but it takes time, right? It takes time to get all those things going for yourself. Rogue on the other end, he starts up Tunneling Claws, he starts up Burrow, he spots this army as well, but this is not a very terrifying army if it steps on creep. You could see though that Rogue is a little bit paranoid, and he kind of gives in the reputation that sOs has as he dropped the Spore Crawler in every base, making sure he doesn't die, you know, or lose a lot of drones to an Oracle, make sure he doesn't die against Dark Templars again. And these are small things that do help out sOs, because that's going to make the push of Rogue a little bit weaker, you know, because these Spores, they will do absolutely nothing. I mean, contrary to popular belief, Spore Crawlers are not good against Blink Stalkers, Nate.
All right, I will take your word for it, Kev. Of course, you guys can let us know who you think will advance to the grand finals to play against Live. Tweet the hashtag WCS with hashtag SOS or hashtag Rogue. This Zealot at the wall is getting battered down. Emergency pylon is warped in to block it off. The Zealot barely lives, Kev.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting soon. Like, Rogue is going to squeeze out as many units as he could possibly can, most likely. But it's so risky to attack, you know, throughout the middle, because he's going to have to go up that ramp. He will have Tunneling Claws, and he does have Burrow. But at the same time, it's still very hard, because if the force fields are very good, the Hydras will be zoned out, and just Roaches are not going to cut it against gateway units and a Photon Overcharge and a cannon. So that's why maybe he's throwing down the Infestation Pit.
Yeah, Blink and +2 are both very close to finishing up. So this is where this army really starts to ramp up in power, since those force fields, Guardian Shield phenomenal against those Hydras. The force fields, of course, can really punish any positional errors being made by the Zerg. And then those Blinks, well, they just make the sky the limit in terms of micro for the Protoss.
Yeah, I would love to see Rogue really focus a lot on spreading his creep as far away as possible, because sOs still doesn't have a robotics facility. He sometimes just doesn't make one. A couple of Stalkers getting in some trouble. These Hydras have to be careful though, they don't have speed yet.
Yeah, very intense moment here as these Stalkers actually do give chase, pick off 1 or 2 of the Hydras. They step on the creep, but Roaches sharking over to the main base and the natural. Can sOs keep the pressure up while defending the pressure back home?
This is going to be very risky. I feel Rogue's army here is not that big, but at the same time, sOs is going to have to take care of these Roaches. And this is so annoying. He still doesn't have a robotics facility. Even if he warps in units here, if sOs babies, or excuse me, if Rogue babysits them properly, sOs can kill them.
Oh, that Burrow is so frustrating in this position. The Hive is over halfway done. Hydralisk speed is about to finish up. sOs is just going to push in. That concave from the Zerg Force is so nice. Guardian Shield is popped. A lot of force fields are used. There's still a good number of them left, but maybe 1 or 2 waves of force fields from those sentries.
If Rogue defends this one time, I think he's going to be in an absolutely phenomenal position, but this is a very, very scary and intimidating army by sOs. And that Hive, I'm not sure why he's rushing up to Hive. Maybe Blinding Cloud or something, but I feel right now he just needs units, Nate.
Yeah, these first force fields are going to get thrown by the third base. That fourth is done in the northeast, but there's no drones there, so to speak of. He needs to push this third. He needs to kill drones. A few more probes going to die back home. There's a Guardian Shield. He's stepping up the ramp. Force fields these units in with the time warp as well. Mothership, of course, is going to go down, but there are the blinks. Drones coming off the mineral line. Rogue putting all of his eggs in the basket to try and defend this push, but will workers be enough? It doesn't look like it, Kev.
No, he has a lot of units on the way, but he needs all of them at the same time in the same place. Maybe these Hydras can turn this battle around, but so far the blinks are excellent.
Force fields are too good as well. Those drones getting bottled up behind the Hydra. 16 of them have fallen already. Overlords starting to die. The Hydralisks are having a really tough time doing it by themselves, Roddy.
Yep, the Roaches did kill a bunch of probes on the other side of the map, but Rogue somehow, some way, needs to stop this army, and I just think it's not going to be enough.
I mean, he even threw the Spore Crawler at him, but it's not going to be enough. GG, sOs goes up 2-0 against his teammates.
Wow, and very convincing so far as well. It seems like Rogue misread a little bit there of what the game plan was by sOs. I'm not sure about going up to Hive in this situation where he actually did some pretty decent work with his Roaches, and there was still no robotics facility. So if this game would have gone on for a little bit longer, it would have been brilliant for Rogue. He just needed to stop that army one time, but he just didn't have enough units because he invested too much, you know, in stuff like a couple Spore Crawlers, in going up to Hive, in, you know, that infestation pit, and he didn't use any